Today I'm going to be reviewing the Whirlpool Reverse Osmosis water filtering system. I'm also going to show you how it works and how to install it. Let's get started. So for fresh drinking water, we usually purchase water from a water store. It costs us about $11 per week to fill this much water. That translates to a whopping $570 per year just for fresh drinking water. Not only is this expensive, it's also time consuming. Every week I have to dedicate a couple hours just to go out, buy water and bring them home. And this is sometimes impossible if I have back pain. We still use the water distiller, but this process is slow and also expensive due to the cost of electricity. That's why I decided to try out the reverse osmosis system. It can produce fresh water quickly. I only have to replace a water filter every 6 months to a year, and it saves me a lot of time instead of going out to buy water. So here is the complete system that came from Amazon. Not that one, this one. It includes 3 filter cartridges in which there is a pre-filter, a post-filter, and a reverse osmosis filter. Next, I'm gonna show you how to put everything together. So here we got all the parts needed for the installation. Got the filter system and the screw mount is for mounting the filter system. Got 2 hoses coming out. The red hose is the drain hose and it's going to go straight to the faucet, and it goes right here. The yellow hose is for clean filter water, and it is going to go to the water storage tank. It's going to go on top here, which you're going to have to install this in first. You'll need some Teflon tape and wrap it around this to make it watertight before you install this on. This is going to go on here like so, and then the yellow tubing from the filter is going to go on here. On the filter system, it's also got 1 green inlet on this side and a blue outlet for clean water on this side. For the green inlet, you're going to use the green tubing, right? And then you push it right in. Install is very easy. Push it right in and it will be watertight. For the blue outlet on this side, you're going to use the blue tubing from the faucet. This end right here, I'm going to push it in here. And the other end of the green tubing is going to go to this, which you have to install onto the house cold water. So this will go onto the cold water valve from the house, and then the other end of the green tubing push in here. This assembly is for drain water, so this will go onto, you're gonna clamp it onto the 1.5 inch drain pipe under the sink. Before you clamp it on, you have to drill a 3/8 inch hole. This hole in this assembly will go through that hole that you drill on the drain pipe. The black tubing on the water faucet is going to go onto this assembly like so. Just push it in, it will be watertight. For the faucet installation, you need a hole on the sink first, and then you install this on first, and then you put the faucet in on top of this. It also comes with a 2032 battery, so you can put it in right in here. It's basically just a timer, and it has a 6-month timer that will change the LED color to amber and will flash after 6 months is over, so that will tell you time to change the filter. On the bottom of the tank, there's an outlet, looks like, but it's actually a air valve. So inside the tank, there's an air bladder to create pressure inside the system, so that it can push water out against gravity, so it can flow through and you can get water out at the faucet. The air pressure inside the tank, inside the bladder, is between 5 to 7 psi when there is no water. So like right now, it should be between 5 to 7 psi. I've got a gauge here, and when I measure it, the pressure is very low, almost zero. So I'm gonna have to re-pressurize this tank. I'm just gonna use my bicycle pump and pump it up to about 5 psi. So here we go, about 6 psi. This plastic fitting is supposed to go to the cold water line from the house, but because I already have an existing water filter which has exactly the same fitting but it's metal, I don't want to replace this plastic fitting with the metal one, so I'm going to keep my metal fitting, and instead I purchase a connector that goes from 3/8 to 1/4 inch so that I can connect the green 1/4 inch tubing to the water filter. So this is the packaging for this that I purchased from Lowe's. So here I'm trying to install the faucet, and before I install the faucet I have to install the red hose that comes from the filter system. So it comes from that side going up and it comes out here and it's gonna go on to right here. The problem with this tubing is it's not flexible, it's quite hard. So I'm gonna have to heat it up with my heat gun before I can put it in. So there we go. It comes in quite easily after I heat it up with my heat gun. Now I can put the faucet in, just push down and twist. It will lock in place. That looks very nice. So next one is the green tubing. This one goes from the cold water line from the house. So it goes from there to the left side of the filter system. Next one is the blue tubing. It goes from the faucet to the filter system on the right side. Just have to push it in. Just like that. So next one is the black tubing. This one comes from the faucet up above. This is the drain hose and it is gonna go into the drain pipe of your sink. So you're gonna have to drill a hole 3/8 inch in size on the vertical pipe, not the horizontal one. And then you install this assembly, and then the black tubing is gonna go right through there. I have to disassemble this part of my drain pipe because when I drill a hole, some of the plastic is gonna come down and clog my drain. Got my hole drilled, and I drill it on the inside because the tubing comes from the inside. I don't want to twist this tubing anymore than I have to. Now I just have to reassemble my drain and push the pipe in here and install the whole assembly onto that drain. So here's the whole assembly. To make sure the holes align, got my screwdriver here and push all the way in. Make sure that it goes through that hole. Now I can push my black tubing in, just like that. Here's what it looks like from the outside. See, this is the reason why I drilled the hole on the inside instead of out here. And last but not least, install the yellow tubing from the filter system to the storage tank. So you have to push it in and then just tighten the nut. This is the clean filter water that comes from the filter system to the storage tank. And that's it. We are pretty much done. Now let's turn on the water and we're gonna check for leaks. So far no leaks. Now we are hearing some noise in the system. That's because there are air bubbles in the system. Let me show you what happens when I open the valves of the faucet. And you can hear air coming out. There we go. Now we got water. Takes about 3 minutes from the time I open the cold water inlet valve on the bottom here for it to go through the whole system, and then it comes up here. So after you make sure there's no leaks in the system, you're gonna have to purge the system. Purging means you have to let the water come out and also the air in the system to come out. And you also have to let this drain out for 24 hours to clean the system basically before you can drink this water. I got my TDS meter here. I want to compare the quality between the tap water and the filter water. That's tap water to the yellow cup, filter water to the blue cup. First is tap water. We got 334 parts per million, and filter water 374 parts per million. I don't understand. Once filter water is more contaminated than tap water. Alright, so 5 minutes later, let's test again and see if it gets better. 162 parts per million, so this is the second batch. 5 minutes later, so it does get better. This is 10 minutes after my first test, and let's try again. So last time was about 160 parts per million, this time 80 parts per million. So it does get better and better over time. It's been about half an hour after my first test, and let's test it one more time. 32 parts per million. Last time was 80, now 32. That's getting a lot better over time. So this is the reason why you should not consume the water right away. You have to purge the system for 24 hours so the system can clean out before you can consume the water. I've got a 1 gallon container and my timer here, and I want to test and see what the flow rate is going to be. So here we go. Right, the gallon container is almost full, and it has been about 29 minutes. So the flow rate is 1 gallon per half an hour or 2 gallons per hour. There's one thing I noticed is that the flow rate is also affected by this tap water faucet. So if I turn on the cold water from the tap water, that will stop. But if I turn on the hot water, it works fine. So the filter would need some kind of pressure to the system in order for this to work. And if I use the garden hose outside to water my garden, or use the cold water in the sink of the bathroom, the flow rate of the filter seems to slow down just a little bit. It's not really noticeable. I think it's about 5 to 10%. So only this tap water faucet right next to it, because they share the same cold water line, only this can affect the flow rate of this. Alright, so it has been about 10 hours since I installed the system, and it has been continuously running for the last 10 hours. And at a rate of 2 gallons per hour, I've got 20 gallons running through the system already. Now let's test the water quality and see what we got. 9 parts per million. That is very good. That's almost pure water. So here is what the system looks like under the sink, fully installed. And let me show you how this works. So first we got the cold water line from the house going through the green tubing, going to the left side of the filter system, and then tap water goes through the 3 filters, and then we got clean water comes out through the yellow tubing behind the system, going down into the storage tank. When the storage tank is full, it will create a positive pressure, push clean water back up through the same yellow tubing, through the system, and out through the blue tubing, and that goes up to your faucet, and that's where you get clean water. The wastewater is going to go toward the back of the unit, going through the red tubing up the faucet. The drain water contains dissolved solid that needs to be drained away, so it goes through the red tubing up to the faucet, and then it's gravity fed down, back down through the black tubing. So the red and black drain tubing up there at the faucet, they're actually not physically connected together. They're actually isolated. And then it goes to the hole that you drill onto the drain pipe and go out to the drain. The purpose of the isolation is to prevent dirty water from going back toward your filter system. So if you have a backup of water, of dirty water, right, all the way up to your sink, and it will create a positive pressure to push down through that hole, through the black holes toward your system. But because the black and red tubings are isolated, it will prevent the backflow of dirty water from happening. The water coming from the filter tastes really fresh. There's no chlorine taste. It tastes so fresh, I feel like it just comes from my water distiller. In fact, I can't even distinguish this water from the water coming out of my water distiller. Now let's talk about the filters. We've got a pre-filter, reverse osmosis filter, and post filter. You just have to change the pre and post filters every 6 months. The reverse osmosis filter is in the middle, and you can use it up to 1 year depending on your tap water condition. If the pH of your tap water is 7, then the filter can last up to 1 year. If you have hard water and the pH is above 8.5, then you will need to change it every 6 months. It's very easy to change the filters for the system. You don't have to turn off your water supply at all. To replace the pre and post filter, you just have to remove the pre-filter first by turning it counterclockwise. Then you can remove the post filter. To replace the reverse osmosis filter, you still need to remove the pre-filter first. Then you can remove the reverse osmosis filter. And again, you don't have to turn off the water supply at all during this process. Let's talk about cost. This system usually costs about $150. That includes 3 filters and everything you need to have it running. I bought it when it was on sale for $108. That was a pretty good deal. I also bought 2 additional pre and post filters for an extra $25. The reverse osmosis filter is about $40. So the total cost of the 3 filters is about $65, and they can last up to 1 year. Compared to the cost of purchasing drinking water for $570 per year, the savings for me is enormous. Not to mention, it also saves me time having to go out to purchase water every single week. So to sum up, is it worth the money and time I spent on this water filter system? Yes, absolutely. I think this should be the water filter to be had for every household. The only downside is that you will need to be connected to city water in order for this to work. The system requires the incoming water to have some pressure. Without positive pressure from the incoming water inlet, the filters will not work. That also means you are dependent on city water. If shits hit the fan and city water is down, you'll be down with it too. If you're off the grid and your main water source is rainwater or water coming from a well underground, then this is not going to work. If that's the case, then you probably want to take a look at a gravity-fed filter like the Berkey water filter system. But the quality of the Berkey system is not as good as this. And that's all for now. I'm going to do a follow-up after I go through the first filters, probably 6 months from now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.